And lovely to have you, Bijay, in the room. Beautiful. Come on, community. Are we super excited to have India's leading podcaster with us today? I want to see a quick SE in the chat box. Super excited. Come on, we need to welcome Bijay with a big round of applause because I know we are all waiting to hear what Bijay has in to share with all of us here in the room. So first of all, thank you so much, Bijay, for becoming a part of this very, very big day for us where we are celebrating our 100th batch and more than 500 plus webinars. And this brings us, to a session to talk about that, you're coming from the podcasting industry where speaking day in and day out, really stands at the foundation of your profession. So would you like to share with our audience the kind of foundation that you've built for yourself through public speaking, and how did you manage this? I mean, you're brilliant at what you do. So Bijay has, the leading podcast, which is the Inspiring Talk, and you must follow him if you're not following that, where he's conducting some massive interviews, and it's a brilliant podcast to really follow. And Bijay, over to you, and why don't you go ahead and share the rest?
Thank you so much, Gopika, and congratulations on 100th batch. I know the amount of time, efforts, and energy it takes in, creating programs and helping people. So you are doing a great job. Kudos to you on that. So back in 2017, when I started, I was working as a research scientist at a pharmaceutical company, and I realized that was not something that I wanted to do with my life. And I said, okay, if I don't want to be a research scientist, then what do I want to do? And the answer that came from within was, I don't know. To cut the long story short, I said, hey, you know what? Maybe I can go and have conversations with these people who have done something meaningful in their life and ask them, hey, how did you figure out what you wanted to do in your life? What is your journey? Like, how did you figure out that you wanted to be a CEO of a company or author and whatnot? But the problem, Gopika, was I was extremely introverted. I could barely have conversations with people. Like if I was locked in an elevator with someone, the only thing that I could ask them was, hey, it's sunny today or it's cloudy. And I would just go completely blank on anything else. And I used to hate those elevators, right? Because it used to feel so awkward. Now here I am saying that I'm going to get into conversation with people and ask questions. And I think I strongly believe in this quote, which is, you can't get better at something that you don't start. If you want to get better at something, then you got to start. And, the way I started was by writing down 10 questions. And I would just pull my note, read question number 1, the guest would answer, read question number 2, the guest would answer. And that's how I started getting in conversation with people. And like I said, the more and more you do, you get better at it. And today, after these many years of doing this podcast, I can comfortably walk into any room and be myself, get into really engaging, deep conversations. And also, have really good conversation on podcast. At least, I'd love to believe that I've become way better conversationalist than I was back then. I think it's all about, putting yourself out there. And like I said, you can't get better at something that you don't do. So, maybe I just started taking action.
Super, Bijay. Come on, let's put a quick awesome A in the chat box. Every time I hear a story of somebody who's gone through that struggle, I just start connecting dots in my own life. And I'm sure all the viewers here will be able to connect dots in their life, because we're all going through that stage where we see it not happening, where we were scared. And as you shared the story of being in the escalator and only seeing a hi to them, that's exactly how we are. We have so many apprehensions that we keep in us, and we don't know how to really overcome that. And the only way, in fact, I see it today, if you want to become a brilliant speaker today, start creating your podcast. At least you're not on video, and people are able to hear you out. And if you want to create a video out of it, even better. So, you're able to really, really work on your voice modulations. Come on, let me see. How many of you want to become podcasters here in the room? A quick me in the chat box, And you would know that how many people, because our community today, Bijay, is about people who want to become massive massively successful in public speaking, and I'm sure everybody wants to follow you as well. So tell me and share with us and our community, Bijay, that do you think that first building a foundation for public speaking is important so that you're able to create this line of profession as a podcaster?
So of course, like having an exposure to public speaking, being comfortable talking in front of people, building public speaking, knowing the nuances of speaking. Because if you are somebody who's looking at probably, let's say, doing a storytelling podcast, you want to take people on that emotional roller coaster. You want to play with your voice. You want to, modulate your voice and so on and so forth, right? Or maybe you just want to simply articulate your thoughts better. And that is something when you are comfortable talking in front of people and you can articulate your thoughts better, then, that is an added bonus. However, but if you're somebody who's like, hey, you know what, I just want to give this a shot, and I also used to go to this club, which I'm sure a lot of people might know, Toastmasters, and practice public speaking. I think it's all about practicing and also knowing those nuances of articulating and learning how to have conversation, learning how do you really speak confidently. So those are the few things that definitely helps.
Lovely. So would you like to share with us that how would you say that we can articulate better for a podcast?
Mm-hmm. So when you say articulate better for podcast, you need to first have a clarity of thoughts on what is it that you want to talk about. And having a framework always helps. A lot of people think that, hey, you know what, podcast is a casual medium. I can just go turn my mic on and talk about anything. But guess what? There are millions of podcasts out there and everyone is dying for audience's attention. Then why should I listen to your podcast? And one of the metrics that we use at Wine Studio, the company that I run where we produce podcasts, is what is the VPM, which is value per minute. What is the value per minute that I'm delivering to my audience? And now, oftentimes I love to say that if you do a 30-minute long podcast, and even if you have said like wasted 5 minutes where you have just discussed about some random thing, which is a fluff, then if there are 1,000 people who listen to your podcast, then you have collectively wasted 5,000 minutes. Think about that. You have collectively wasted 5,000 minutes.
So
you don't want to do that. So that's why just always ask yourself, what is the value per minute my audience is getting? And, because podcast is a medium, it's not live in front of audience. It is something that you can record and post-produce. So you can, there's a bit of you don't have to be as scared as you would probably be on.
So you can play
stage.
Around with that.
Yeah, you can play around in the post-production, but but still, like, you need to gather your thoughts and have a structure and know what you are really trying to say.
True. So Bijay, we have one of the sessions speaking about public speaking in this virtual world as well. So what has been your proportion of being offline and online now, and which one do you think you find it easier when it comes to public speaking?
Both of them have their own kind of, pros and cons. When you are doing online speaking, you can be on your pajama and still deliver the talk from the comfort of your bedroom, which is something that, I absolutely love doing as well. But, the best part about being in the physical is, not as much you can gauze what your audience's reaction is in online. But when you are there on stage, I'm sure you can relate to this, Gopika. You can actually tell by looking at your audience's eyes that what are they feeling right now at this moment? Have I been able to inspire them? Are they feeling motivated? Are they, feeling, I didn't like this, right? What is it that they're feeling? I can actually sense that on the eyes. And that is something that I love about the offline bit, to just, absorb the energy and feel what my audience is feeling.
I so agree with you. Online has been like, this is like my 100th batch, 500 plus webinars I've done. And I so agree with you on this, Bijay. So I've literally learned the foundation of public speaking by being offline, and I still really, really enjoy that. But having come online, there are a whole lot of benefits as well. So I see you using a lot of hand gestures and, expressions. So when you're creating a podcast, maybe people are not able to see you on video, but then do you still use them for a better expression and emotion?
Oh yeah, I am like this, one of those hyperactive people who is always moving, who is always like, I can't sit in a place for too long. So that's me. So you will always find me moving my hands. You will always find me, using gestures, and oftentimes, I overdo. So I'll have to remind consciously myself that it to the point that it can be distracting for audience. But yeah, I mean, I love expressing through my hand gesture, moving hands. That's me. That's me with like always high on energy, moving my hands. And so yeah, I need to actually be a little more conscious in
conscious about this.
Conscious in using the gesture. But yeah, I do love expressing it. Using my body and hands.
So I'm sure that you do totally agree that public speaking has really helped you to leverage yourself as a personal brand and as an entrepreneur today.
100%. And it's not only about, just being in front of public speaking, to me is not only just you speaking in front of, 100 people on a stage. It's about you, if you're somebody who runs a company, you sharing your thoughts to your team, or inspiring your colleagues, or if you do a podcast, or if you do any kind of content, if you're creating Instagram reels, you are doing public speaking there as well. Absolutely. You are talking to public, right? So I think it's not only about just where it began probably was like, that's how it began, right? People being in front of like 100 people or 20 people and speaking in front of stage. But its definition by itself has, I like to believe that has changed a lot, that every moment you probably are public speaking, right? You are talking to your teams, you're talking to your, your colleagues, or you are sharing your content on Instagram, whatever that you are doing. It's all
we're
public
doing
speaking.
it all the time. We're doing it all the time. So what do you think you'd like to tell our audience here in the room, Bijay, that what can they do immediately to start their journey? Because it's that first step that they need to do.
So just start. I think, a lot of, I don't know how much time we have, but oftentimes I tell people that a lot of us look at, Tony Robbins and say that, hey, you know what, or maybe look at Gopika and say that, hey, you know what, we want to talk like Gopika. We want to have the confidence like her. But every single person goes through this journey, and, it's nice scary, and it's
put
scary.
In the same picture with Tony Robbins.
Yeah. And, it's scary for you to really go on stage and talk, but I would say start what's it's not going to be comfortable if you have never done, but start, like, just force yourself, don't be like, if you think about it, right? When I started my podcast, I have this weird accent. I made a lot of pronunciation mistake. And then here I was, and I didn't know how to have conversation. And here I was saying that I'm going to have conversation with the podcast. And the other thing that I want to add here, Gopika, which might help people, is audience do not follow great voice. They follow great message. And if you really think you have a powerful message to share with the world, don't stop the thought that I don't have a good accent, I don't know how to speak English, I don't know how to have a good conversation. Stop you from sharing the message that you have.
So true, Bijay. Come on, audience. Are we all loving this? Come on, let's have a quick LT in the chat box. If we've totally loved so many messages coming from Bijay Gautam, leading podcast coach, being shared with our community, totally a feeling which is blessed. So thank you so much. A quick rapid fire with you, Bijay, and we close in the next 60 seconds. Tell me, what would be your topic if you would want to inspire people on a TEDx stage?
Oh, I think, one of the things that I have been really passionate about, and something that I try to live on a day-to-day basis, is vulnerability, where a lot of us are now, really trying to put ourselves on the internet, which that we are not. But I think when we are able to embrace our vulnerability and be our authentic self, I think, we would do wonders. And that's that has tremendously helped me in my life.
Super.
So I think vulnerability and authenticity.
Vulnerability. Lovely. So that's interesting. And what would be that one book that you'd like to recommend everyone that they should use to really scale up for their success and for their speaking abilities?
So I think there are a lot of them, but I think the classic would be Think and Grow Rich. It is one of those books that, often quoted like thousands and thousands of times.
Yes,
And also there is another book by RagavaKK, which is this amazing artist. He has written this really, really interesting book called Kill Your Talk, Not Your Audience. It is really, art, visually represented a lot of creatives and stuff like that. Kill Your Talk, Not Your Audience by RagavaKK.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Bijay. And one mantra that motivates you and can motivate our entire community here. What's that one mantra for you?
I think, I love this quote, which goes like, your talent is God's gift to you, and what you do with it is your gift back to the God. So I think, you don't have to believe in God, but the whole idea is, and also the variation of this quote is, your talents are not your gifts. They are your responsibilities. So whatever talents in terms of knowledge that you have, insights and wisdom that you have can impact a lot of people out there. So don't hold it to yourself, share it out with there. And of course, communication and public speaking is a way for you to share your ideas with the world, get started in the journey, and I'm sure you can impact a lot of lives.
Lovely. Thank you. Can we have a big round of applause, everyone? A quick A in the chat box. Thank you so much, Bijay. It's been such a privilege to host you on this summit, inspiring the community who want to become exceptional speakers in their professions. And yes, members, you can all get connected with Bijay on his podcast, which is the Inspiring Talk. Bijay, you could also share with them about your courses, about your website in the chat box with us. And my Speakerpreneur community would love to get in touch with you as well, right? Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Gopika. Thank you so much. Had a great time.
Thank you.